What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, CEO, MTS Nutrition. Forgive me, guys, it is my post-workout window. You know the post-workout window doesn't really exist. I'm hungry after training, so I have right here ice cream sandwich MTS way, topped with a frozen banana mixed in a sludge, which is like a pudding-like thing. And then I sprinkled a half of banana outright bar, a little bit of whipped cream on top. It's delicious. If you like carbs, try it. Keto. So I actually looked at a great infographic posted by Will Brink that he got from sci-fit.net. That's sci-fit.net. And it had a couple parameters that it was mentioning based on research and data and everything we've looked at. Basically, lean mass. You're looking at keto losing more lean mass during a diet than during a non-keto diet. You look at strength. Keto might be inferior, but it appears that it's pretty much equal. You look at fat loss, when calories are accounted for and even, it's about the same. Anaerobic performance, keto could be inferior, but I'm gonna actually debate that a little bit. And aerobic performance, again, it says that keto might be detrimental. I actually tend to disagree a bit with that. But with that said, let's eat some carbs and talk about people who don't eat carbs. How can you guys go keto? Carbs are so delicious. Wow. I'd rather be fucking obese than give this shit up. Delicious. Can you imagine going life without toast? Like, how are all you yuppie millennial motherfuckers, how are all you bougie motherfuckers gonna eat your avocado toast? So let's talk about keto and when it is applicable. When I believe it might be, if not just the same, a bit superior. Now, someone like me, I have, and I know you guys, you're arrogant, but compared to the average American, the average person, I am on hormone replacement therapy. Let's get that out the window so we don't have any questions about that. My doctor is Hormone Health and Wellness. If you go on Instagram, DM me at Marc Lobliner. I'll link you up to them. It's Hormone Health and Wellness in West Palm Beach. I'm open and honest about my HRT use, so you can't just say it's because I'm on steroids, because last I checked, keto is open and available for people on and not on steroids. Again, I'm prescribed based on whatever. You guys can argue that all you want. All right, but let's forget about me, but let's use me as an example. I have a lot of muscle mass, which means I have a pretty fast metabolism. I churn through nutrients quite fast. I participate in very, very, very short burst anaerobic activities, such as boxing. I also do a lot of high intensity weight training. A lot of sprint intensive movements. I coach athletes. So in demonstrating the movements, I'm inherently going to be doing the movements. At the end of a training session, when I train 3 to 4 groups for an hour to an hour and a half at the soccer academy I train at, I'm drenched in sweat, I'm exhausted, and I am flatter than a board. There's not a vein in my body. I just train it. You'll see as the video goes on, I'll start to come back. I deplete quite rapidly. Now, one way to kind of counter that carbohydrate necessity for pump, so to speak, is electrolytes. I think a lot of people feel flat, not because they lack carbohydrate, but because they lack electrolytes and hydration. And electrolytes are key. Electrolytes are very key and fundamental in everything you do. So that's number one. So I think that for someone like me, electrolytes are key, but for the intense activities I do, if I don't take carbohydrate, if I don't have carbohydrate around my boxing, if I don't have carbohydrate around my training, my performance suffers. I've tried keto. I've tried overloading on electrolytes. I've tried everything to go keto. It's not for me. My body operates better on carbohydrate. So for someone partaking in very anaerobic glucose-based activity, it's absolutely fundamental. Now, different energy sources. When you're doing those bursts of activities, right? That relies on glucose for your main energy source. But you get in the glycolytic system and all that when you're doing a more endurance-based activity like jogging or low-intensity biking, whatever it is, sustained long-term activity. That would be where I believe a keto diet might be favorable. For example, marathoners, endurance athletes, long distance bicyclists. I believe they might actually do really, really, really well on a ketogenic diet because your body becomes fat adapted. When your body becomes fat adapted, it gets better at converting the fat to ketones in the blood, in the body, to provide both mental and physical energy. For someone like me, if I was to go keto, I would notice a severe drop in my physical output. And I have experimented with that, and it's happened to me because I do like a lot of the benefits of the keto diet, all right? I am not anti-keto. I just think it's not a diet you can adhere to. Here's why. What is it? 60+% of Americans are obese or over fat, right? Those people, they can't even stop eating bullshit food in excess amounts and exercise. So you're asking the population to not only stop eating in a hypercaloric state, an abundance of calories, and start exercising, you're asking them to give up an entire food group of yummy foods. You're asking them to give up toast. You're asking them to give up sweet potatoes. You're asking them to give up oatmeal. You're asking them to give up fucking candy bars. You got to realize it's about compromise, the 80-20 rule. Let's get people eating healthier. Let's educate people on food choices. When you start taking away an entire macronutrient, you're going to have some issues, and the main issue is adherence. So my thing is, let's not go overzealous with keto. Problem with keto people is they're like Republicans and Democrats. They don't want to hear the other side. And the problem with the science guys, the if it fits your macros guys, is they fail to realize that for some segments of the population, keto is very favorable. For example, people have seizures, epileptics. I can make an argument for people with prediabetes. However, let's say you have prediabetes, you go and do keto and you kind of mitigate that. You start exercising, increase your GLUT4 receptors, make your body more insulin sensitive. Okay, get rid of that syndrome X. That's great and all. Then what? Then you go back to your old lifestyle and you're right back in the pit of risking diabetes. So my thing is, let's look for a more long-term thing that you can adhere to. So that's for the general population. As for athletes, for those of you like me, I'm not competing in anything, guys. I just want to be the best me I could be. I want to be an amazing coach for the athletes I coach. I want to be the most kick-ass guy around 40 years old, play with my kids. I want to be able to play sports alongside young folk. I want to be able to box and spar with younger people at Pro Boxing Fitness. So I'm looking at a diet to maximize my goals, my results. However, if you have someone who's a long distance runner who's having trouble bonking, so to speak, where they just hit a wall while running, which I've done. I've tried running. I trained for a 10K before. I've ran a few 5Ks. I didn't do the 10K. I chickened out. If you have someone who's doing that, maybe it's something you should experiment with. A lot of people do very, very well on ketogenic diets. And if you look at people who do like the carnivore diet, that's not even a ketogenic diet. Their protein is usually way too high unless they're just eating the fat from their ribeyes. At the end of the day, they're probably on a gluconeogenic diet, which means that their body is taking the excess protein they eat and it's converting it to glucose via a process called gluconeogenesis. And there's nothing wrong with that. I actually believe that's more important to controlling insulin because, again, when you get your glucose from protein instead of carbohydrate, when you eat carbohydrate, your insulin goes up, your glucagon stays about here. But when you get your carbohydrate from gluconeogenesis from protein, studies have shown a concurrent increase in glucagon and insulin, and glucagon is kind of the counter hormone to insulin. So it keeps that kind of insulin balance there. So if you're looking for a ketogenic diet, I actually think, I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a big carnivore guy. But I do think out of all the keto diets, I think it's actually kind of the most interesting. And I think it might have the most validity. Because it hasn't been disproven as much, right? Like keto, when it comes down to science, unless you cherry pick bullshit studies, has pretty much gotten its ass kicked in the lab, right? From the data I have extrapolated and read. However, man, can't argue with the empirical data on the carnivore diet. I think it's fantastic. I wouldn't do it. I don't think it's something people can adhere to, and I do believe there's a benefit to having fruits and veggies in one's diet and a variety of grains and other things. I like seeing a balanced diet. I also think people can adhere to it more. Man, if you like eating fucking ribeye, have at it, man. Make sure to throw in those organ meats to get those vitamins and minerals. You're in a good spot. But I digress. So who is keto right for? I think long distance endurance athletes, sedentary individuals, if they can adhere to the diet, if you just sit at a desk all day, yeah, I think keto might be good for you. Especially since if you're sitting at a desk, it might increase your brain function because you're not doing that exercise to actually get all the exercise. The only thing we can do in this world that increases your mental acuity and your mental performance immediately after the first session, right? So that's great. However, you know, what I like to do is I like to have a diet where I eat a variety of fruits, vegetables, berries. I have a shake with Planta, which is a plant-based protein made from Ambrosia, a company I do have interest in, full disclosure. And then put kale, chard, and spinach. So mix up out from Costco, put some almond milk, mix it up, boom, big veggie shake. Throughout the day, I usually, around training, I'll throw my carbs in. I have my eggs and toast, my Ezekiel bread in the morning. Then I have an outright bar pre-workout, and then this post-workout. Then throughout the day, I'm pretty controlled carb. I might eat an outright bar when I'm hungry if I'm on the road. I have an MTS Whey sludge, banana in it. But overall, compared to what's usually recommended, I'm a pretty controlled carb guy. So, you know, that's my thing. But that's what works best for me. Find out what works best for you. But keto is usually not the answer. But to say that for some populations it's not the answer, I think that's kind of presumptuous. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts. Comment down below. A lot of good keto articles at tigerfitness.com. A lot of great keto articles if you want to try these. Outright bars. Here's the deal, guys. If you want to try them, my recommendation is to go to any convenience store, gas station, you name it. Do me a favor, ask them to carry it. Convenience stores, gas. We're at over 20,000 so far. If you go ahead and you request them, they actually, all these gas stations have a ledger or a note that they send over to their distributor of things to pick up. So that would really help us tremendously. As for everything else, they'll have various retailers, including tigerfitness.com. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts. Comment down below. Keep an open mind and don't be a sheep. That's not a game.